Hey everyone, Simon here. Today we're going to talk about how to use Karmic Glue in Dilanu. Karmic Glue is the influence of the invisible planets on the inner visible planets and how they affect marital life. Now, it's one of the most complex, intricate parts of relationship analysis. And it's one thing that we've done with Dilanu, which is to bring in the ancient wisdom of Vedic astrology, the best techniques, but also the best techniques of tropical synastry and Western astrology, and meld them in a way that gives you a quantifiable, actionable outcome and output, meaning a certain amount of points, and you can get an idea of what that looks like. So what am I talking about? Let's go ahead and go into Dilanu. By the way, if you're a free user of Dilanu, what you will see is a basic kind of dashboard that allows you to upgrade. And there is a 10% coupon, which I will add in the link below here. So if you sit through this tutorial on how to use Dilanu, you deserve to get a little bit of a break on the price. Now, what you'll see here is the professional price, which is the full access for life. This is your lifetime access to all of Dilanu's components. And as we upgrade, free upgrades for life, basically. The more we add, you will have access to everything. This is the same, except it's billed monthly, right? So it's 29 bucks a month. And then the advanced, what you see here is our Dilanu certification training, which we just completed the first one. And so the next one won't be until 2024. But that includes a whole bunch of other goodies, which I will get to when it's appropriate. But it trains you to be a Dilanu certified practitioner and to accompany us on the journey that we're taking with this program, which is to hopefully become the world's top matchmaking algorithm. Okay, so that's the free version, but let's jump into the full version. And as we go in there, let's pull up a couple of charts. Why don't we pull up the famous Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton? So right from your summary page, you will see the scores of each of these, and you'll get an idea immediately of, what's high, what's low. So you see already Karmic Glue between this couple is huge. Now, what is Karmic Glue? Let's talk about that. Karmic Glue is the sense of this sort of faded quality to the relationship, number one. Number two, there is a sense that your mutual ancestors are pulling you together, usually to share DNA, right? To have a child, and then they're satisfied. But then once they're satisfied, you're left in the middle of this thing like, okay, we have a kid. We don't really like each other. What do we do now? Karmic Glue is neither positive nor negative. It depends a lot upon the rest of your scores. So if you have high Karmic Glue and very high, also good compatibility, that's great. That means you guys are bound together by fate, but also you get along. Whereas if you have high Karmic Glue, like this couple, but there are problems in your compatibility, then, excuse me, then that can create a situation that becomes codependent, that becomes like, you're not good for each other, but you just can't leave, and that type of thing. Now, for Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor, they actually have decent compatibility overall, and they have a number of connections. Their issue is in that, in a sense, they do not have the relationship material check, which is a check on their what am I to you? Fundamentally, they were not really meant to be married, even though they're meant to be together, which is an interesting dynamic. But we'll talk about that in another video on what am I to you. Today, we're going to talk about Karmic Glue. And so as we go in the Modern Methods tab, you will notice that the Modern Methods gives you a total score, which is the aggregate of core connection, hidden strengths, soulmate indicators, but not Karmic Glue. Karmic Glue is its own separate score, and in the future, we'll have it as its own tab. And what it is designed to show us is how much of that inevitable, powerful energy that draws people together is present. And as we can see here, there is a lot of it. 71 points. Let me move my face. Anything above 61 is off the charts, and they are off the charts. So immediately when you see a couple like this, you're going to think, uh-oh, something is pulling these two together. It's usually ancestral. Ancestral means it can also be past life. Whether now you may not believe in past lives. If you don't, then consider it an ancestral genetic DNA kind of pull. Like something about my DNA vibrates when it sees your DNA and it wants to copulate. It wants to get together and make more DNA. In the sort of Eastern philosophical tradition that incorporates reincarnation, this talks about you spend past lives together, but they're not complete. So what happens? You got together, one of you died in a war, or one of you died from a plague, from disease. There was some kind of early or even late, but you left each other, and that created a void. It created a void that kind of wants to pull you back, even in this life, to complete your business, whether it's to have kids, to start, the world's best company, whatever it is, you have unfinished business. So it's our job as the analyst to determine what is this unleft finished business. And so in our Dilanu Professional Certification Program, we analyze what each of these connections means. Now, I don't have time to go into that here. Here, I'm going to go over sort of the general outlook, what a big Karmic Glue score means in the grand scheme of things. As you can see, it measures the effects of the invisible grahas, the invisible planets in the Greek term, planetes, sky wanderers, right? The invisible grahas on the sun, moon, Venus, and the ascendant. So here we're talking about Rahu, Ketu as a unit, Rahu, Ketu represented here by Rahu, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, and what their total effect is. Their total effect, by the way, is added to the parallels. So parallels are a unique feature that we added to Dilanu that takes into account the effects of planets that are not just conjoined by longitude, but by latitude. So it looks like I'm dancing, some kind of dance here, right? So when two planets are conjunct by longitude, for example, they're on the same line of longitude. And by the way, one can be up here and one can be way down here. And they're still considered conjunct, even though they're, say, 3,000 miles of space, if you projected them on the Earth. There are tons of space, or lots of angular space between them. But they're still on the same line of longitude. That's called a conjunction. What parallels do is they say, well, wait, what if we're in the same line of latitude, regardless of the space, the longitude between us? That's a parallel. So that theory says that these planets still affect each other. Why? Because if they're on the same latitude as the Earth spins, a country, let's say if you sit on a particular city, will experience both of those planets' effects, right? So if you're sitting, say, in the middle of New York City, and these two planets are on the same latitude, as you go around, you will experience both of them. So what you see here is the total score of the Karmic Glue, which is 67.9. And then there are 4 points for parallels. And so the total then is 71.9. A high score like this, the first thing you want to do is to see what is their overall compatibility score. And if it's in the good range or above, then that high Karmic Glue is actually going to create that magical, we're meant to be together kind of energy. And unless there are other things that pull them apart, now in the case of Elizabeth Taylor, there's some danger meter, but this is not enough to really pull them apart. As I mentioned before, it's the what am I to you that is the issue. And in what am I to you, and in fact, 60-second aside. I know this is a tutorial, but I'm going to give you, I can't help but give you little nuggets here. Okay. So as a professional, when you have this software, you can run your relationship with yourself. This was actually invented by one of our students. And they found that there are specific insights that you can get that can tell you about your own personal baggage, your own issues with yourself, right? So as you read your own compatibility, now there's some things you can't, because core connection is going to be perfect because all your planets will be the same. You can't read the core connection, but you can read many of the other components. So when you get this software, run your relationship with yourself and go into the modern methods, go into what am I to you, and take a look. Go into your soulmate factors. Take a look, see what it says. I think you may find it interesting. All right, so back to Karmic Glue. So the first way to measure Karmic Glue, first of all, see if it's relatively high, middle, or low. If it's very high, first thing you want to do is see how good is the overall score. Now, in this case, the overall score is good, right? It's actually in the average range according to this, but 29 points is actually quite good. I feel like this scale is a little skewed towards perfection, but there's no such thing as perfection. So for this couple, it is in the good range. So the first clue then you will get is that this couple is likely to want to come together because they have good compatibility overall and a very high karmic glue. That's step one. The next step you want to see is, do they have longevity? And I've made another video about that on ancient methods. Okay. And the final step is, what are there any potential obstacles? And what do they represent to each other? And that'll be what am I to you? And this is where they run into major problems. Of course, deal makers and deal breakers, you want to analyze as we've discussed in other videos. So Karmic Glue, that's the nuts and bolts of it. Now, there are books, wonderful books by Robert Hand and many others that you can read about what it means to have a connection between, say, let's see, what do they have that's pretty high? Pluto Sun. What does a Pluto Sun connection look like? Even in your own chart, right? Struggles with power and identity. Who's going to be the star, right? Sun is literally the star. Pluto is the thing that's pulling it in this direction. So power and control. There'll be massive power struggles in this relationship. How do I know that? Because Pluto Sun gets a very high score. So you can do this research. Now, we talk about each of these combos in our Dilanu certification, and not just what they mean, because you can get that from a book, but how to use that in a real life interpretation for a partnership. And then, number one. Number two, how to give specific remedial measures to help and improve, right? Let's say this couple really wants to stay together, but they realize, hey, we've got a lot of Pluto Sun. Both of us want to be the star. We can't, when we're both elbowing each other off the stage at the same time, what do we do? Okay, there are specific things one can do. And you can start with not taking things personally. I made a video on that. I'm pointing, but it's not going to be here. On remedies for the outer planets. That's a free video you can watch on YouTube. Specific remedies for Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto in your horoscope. So you can check that out. You can apply a lot of those here, but because this is talking about relationships, the remedies have to be adjusted for the fact that this is a relationship that we're looking at, not a specific horoscope. Okay, what else is particularly high? There's a lot of Rahu. Okay, so Rahu is your compulsive desire, right? My desire to XYZ. They see each other fulfilling their desire, whether it's a physical desire for pleasure or ambition or whatever it is. And the problem with that is when you see someone else as the fulfillment of your desire, you're bound to be disappointed. So there are strategies for dealing with Rahu as well. So that's it in a nutshell. With Karmic Glue, you want to see where is the highest score showing up? What does that indicate for the couple? And can they get over it? Do they have enough core compatibility, core connection, hidden strengths, and other factors to help them weather? Because look, everyone has Karmic Glue. Everyone you meet, you're going to have a Karmic Glue score with. So, and with some people, it's going to be extremely high like this. With some people, it's going to be average, doesn't matter. The core question is, can you deal with it? And is your relationship strong enough to overcome the karmic qualities? All right. Hope this was useful, guys. Go to Dilanu.com to download the software. And even the free version will give you access to a total score. It won't give you access to this info, unfortunately, but you'll still get some information. And if you want to consult with a professional Dilanu consultant and see what it's all about and the light they can shed on any kind of relationship, business, friendship, love, short-term love, or the love of your life, check out the links below. Those are real qualified Dilanu practitioners available now in a whole bunch of languages to offer their services to you. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. We'll see you in the next one.